Bryant out of the shotgun. Looks over the middle. He's got Suter. Suter's at the 5. Suter down to the goal line. That should be a touchdown. It is. He never touched the ground. Touchdown, Maryland.
Well, Steve, man, I appreciate it. Obviously, you and I go way back. We did some great things in college. I'm lucky to have you as one of my boys. But thank you for hopping on our call. First question for you is, starting at a young age, man, were you always a football player? I know you kind of played it all, but talk to me about your upbringing. Did you know that, hey, man, football's my way, or were you diving into every sport?
No, it wasn't my first love. It was baseball, and I think it was because of my dad. My dad was a baseball guy, so that's what I did. I did baseball, and that was really my only sport focused, through the Pop Warner young, let's call it elementary school years, and early on, I'm playing t-ball and baseball. And it wasn't until I was actually on, maybe, I don't know, it might have been 8 or something, maybe 8 or 9. I played on a team with the head coach of the Pop Warner League for the football team, and I was playing with his son's baseball. And I was the fastest kid on the team, so he started recruiting me. Not necessarily recruiting me, let me take that back. Started recruiting my mom, because when you're that young, your mom got to sign off on, can my son play football? So she signed off on it at an early age there, 8 or 9, and then started playing. So I was playing with my best friends. I loved the head coach. My dad transitioned and he started coaching football too. So then it was just a baseball football thing. And then it wasn't until around middle school, I was just getting burnt out with baseball. I was having more fun playing football, and I was getting burnt out playing baseball because we were doing fall ball, spring ball, summer ball. It was just constant. And I think it just wore me out. I suffered a motocross dirt bike accident in my backyard. I jumped with my motorcycle and hit a tree, fell off, broke my collarbone. It was during baseball season. And so I didn't play the rest of that season. Then I never went back, actually. It was like a relief for me. I don't know if there was too much pressure with the baseball thing, and I just fell in love with football. So then I just focused on football really for the rest of my young career. I did dabble with lacrosse 2 years in high school. That's kind of a funny story too. I'll say that real quick. So I'm playing football, and it's known by the coaches that I want to keep playing football as long as I can. And the lacrosse coach at the time for the high school I was at, North Carroll, comes to me one day in the weight room, and he hands me a pamphlet of a lacrosse camp for Maryland. And he says, look, I know you want to play football at Maryland, but I think you got a better chance of playing lacrosse at Maryland. And he hands me this camp flyer. And I didn't say anything right there. I just took it, but I was mad. I just was mad that he said that I couldn't play. I mean, I'm probably hyping it up a little bit. He didn't come out and say that like that, but that's how I took it. I went right back in the weight room. I probably pounded out like 20 more sets. I was like, you're going to tell me I can't play? We'll see. Wow. So after my anger wore off there, after that weight room session, I did think about it. I thought maybe I should give lacrosse a try. So I went out and I played my sophomore year, and I was just a classic athlete out there, faster than everybody, but not as skilled. So I would outrun everybody down to the goal, pass it to somebody that could do all that juggling and could shoot it. And then that's how he played. It was pretty effective. So I did that my sophomore and junior year. Then when I got my scholarship offer from Maryland, I committed. Then I said, all right, I'm done with lacrosse. I don't need it anymore. And I wanted to go like rip that pamphlet up in that coach's face and say like I made it.
Check this out.
It's crazy. I mean, as you were just giving me the rundown, the foundation and the goals, that I was thinking back to myself, I would have been a really good candidate for something like that. I would have needed, because it was really hard coming where I came from in Carroll County. Schools and coaches from colleges aren't coming out there and looking at kids. We're not making waves in the state. None of our Carroll County teams are playing in the state championships. So schools wouldn't think to come that Carroll County has great football in the state of Maryland. So it was really hard to try to get myself seen by coaches. And I can remember my dad and I doing the double VCR record stuff, trying to make our highlight tape. We probably made 50 copies. We sent them to 50 schools. See, there you go, the VHS. We sent them out to 50 schools, mailing them and hoping to get some contacts back. And you start getting letters, but they're not serious letters. It's just a generic, hey, thank you kind of deal. Nobody's calling or anything like that. And I really got lucky. So Scott Chadwick was an assistant coach of mine at North Carroll. He then, after my sophomore season, goes on to become the head coach at Bowie. While he's at Bowie, he has much more interaction with head coaches and college coaches. He has more talent in and around Bowie. His players are getting recruited, and he had a relationship with Coach Loxley. So then the Maryland Junior Combine, and I'm glad they had this. If they didn't have this, I wouldn't have been at Maryland. Maryland Junior Combine was a thing that the University of Maryland held every year for all the juniors in the state.
Yep.
Could come to the school, and it was a mini combine like you see on TV for these college kids trying out for the pros. We ran the 40, we did a vertical leap, and we did a bench press. And there was 500, 600 kids there. Scott Chadwick knew I was going to be there, and he talked to Coach Loxley and he said, "You have to come watch this kid run." So I'll probably get him in trouble here. Well, it doesn't matter anymore. But Loxley was not supposed to be there live, but he showed up live, and he hand timed me. And so there's 500 kids there. I have the fastest 40, and I had the highest vertical leap of all the kids at the camp. So then Loxley comes over and talks to me and says, "Hey, you need to send us a highlight tape." And I said, "Well, I sent y'all one 6 months ago." And he wasn't aware, because it just comes in the mailroom. It went to whoever's office is supposed to. Wally Ake at the time was recruiting our area.
Yeah.
And he probably just saw that I was 5'8", Carroll County, and he dumped it in some closet. And so they would have never looked at it if not for that lucky moment. So your foundation would have been perfect to maybe grab me earlier and put me in a situation where the eyes were on me faster, and you're just getting more attention, because it really was luck for me. If Scott Chadwick doesn't go to Bowie and become a head coach and have that interaction with Coach Loxley at the time, then that event probably doesn't happen. Yeah, maybe I still had the highest vertical and the fastest 40 at the camp, but are the coaches even looking at that data? Do they even care? You need some validation from somebody. The validation will be coming from you, Scott, and you, JB, vouching for a kid to get the attention of a coach to say, "No, you really need to come actually pay attention to this kid. Really watch his tape." It's not just a dad of or a cousin saying he's the best ever. So you need some credibility coming from somewhere. So I had, fortunately, that Scott Chadwick went to Bowie, had credibility with Loxley. So he came out in person to watch me run. And that's really how I got to Maryland. And it was right place, right time, had a lucky connection.
Hey, I'm going to force you to watch this. I'm putting this in the VCR right now. I'll watch my man Steve run a 40, right? Well, thank God for that.
It's awesome.
So I'm going to ask one more question, then JB's going to pop in here. But let's rewind a little bit, right? Your freshman year at North Carroll, right? What was that year like for you, right? Are you trying to play multiple sports, or right? Is it a hard transition for you academically, socially? That freshman year, are you playing varsity? Like, what does that freshman year look like for you to kind of set you on that path to get to College Park?
I'm glad you asked that question, because it was a very pivotal moment in my career, in my life, or my football journey. So you go to your freshman in high school. I've been playing with the same kids my whole life in Pop Warner, because it's not like it is now where you could have people that you don't grow up with or in your high school, right? This was Carroll County. You went to Hampstead Middle School, and then you went to North Carroll High School, and it's the same group of kids. Maybe somebody moved in from out of town, but it's the same bunch. And I was the best player on the team all growing up as kids. You get on there as a freshman, all of a sudden I'm not growing as much as some of these other kids. So it's not like my level of dominance was as evident. So this was a year where maybe things weren't going to work out for me, or looked like it might not work out for me. And this came to a head at the end of my freshman season. Nobody moved up. Everybody was a freshman, played freshman. There was 8 games in the freshman season. There was 10 games in the varsity season. After the 8th game, the head coach of the varsity moved up 2 kids from freshman to varsity for those last 2 weeks just to practice. And I wasn't one of them. And I was the best kid on the team. So I was very confused. So I went to the coach and I asked him why. And he told me he was afraid I would get hurt. I was only 126 pounds. And regardless if I was the fastest and maybe the best player, he didn't want me to practice with the big kids in fear I would get hurt. So I went home that day, told my dad. My man went right into like the Sears, Walmart catalog. Maybe it was probably Sears at the time. Catalog, ordered me one of them weight benches with the small weights that sand in them.
Yeah.
And he ordered it. We put it in the basement and we went hard for
What's
that
work?
whole this season, off season. He's like, okay. My dad was like, all right, my son's too small. We're gonna beef him up. So I went from 126 pounds my freshman year to 145 pounds, all 20 pounds of muscle as a sophomore, and then I'm starting on varsity. It was a pivotal moment. If he'd have moved me up that after that 8th game and moved me up those weeks, I probably wouldn't have done it because I just thought, yeah, I'm still the best and I'm just going to keep this is my trajectory. But I got hit with some adversity and it really shaped the rest of my career. And it is the reason I got to Maryland. If I wouldn't have hit the gym like that, and then I got to see the results, I was like, my goodness, now I'm in there benching more than the seniors. I put on 20 pounds of muscle in one off season. We kept doing it. And I just fell in love with the weight room. And I was going every kid after school. I was going to Four Seasons, which was a sports complex around near Hampstead. I was driving up there and I was lifting every day after school because I wasn't playing the other sports. I was dead set on football when I got to high school. So that's where I was going. It was Four Seasons. It was if I didn't max out. See, I didn't really know how to lift. Right, every Friday you maxed out to see if you were 5 pounds better. So. But the theory was I was in the gym, just in the gym. And I left high school at like 180 pounds. So started 126, left 180. I'm benching over 300 pounds. It's all muscle because I just fell in love with it. And I saw how much it was improving me on the field. So it was, again, I got lucky to get to Maryland from having a relationship. And I had a lucky moment that I used in a positive way to just elevate my play and make me a better player. So I tell his name's Coach Bill Rumball. He's probably I could get choked up. He's probably the best human ever. And he's the reason. I mean, he didn't move me. It's like my mini Jordan story, right? He got cut from the high school team.
Yeah.
So I mean, those relationships mean a lot, as you can tell with my emotions here. So he's a great guy. And he was always there for me. And that was, he didn't realize how much that was going to impact me. He was looking out for me, but it changed my life.
Heck yeah. Great. That's a great story. Didn't know that. It's a heck of a story. JB.
Man, that's that kind of brings to like the new school kids that we have nowadays, and listening to you speak on your journey. A couple things like stick out, handling adversity, but then also like gratitude and humility, that you have for your coaches, and that just kind of shapes what type of person you are. And I think that those are the kind of kids that we're looking for. Kids that aren't transactional, the kids that the little things matter, and they end up turning into awesome folks like yourself and awesome players like yourself. So can you speak to the value of the loyalty that you have and the gratitude, and also just being able to identify that adversity and meet it head on. And, just can you speak to that? Because I think that's a really important thing for young people. Because as old guys, that's what we look at. And that's kind of what we see as the difference. Like these guys are so much, they're bigger, faster, stronger, and they're smarter in a lot of ways. But like that secret sauce is missing. And I think that when you spoke about your journey, that's what stuck out. It's those things, those little things that really make a person great. So can you speak to those? 'Cause I think those are things that really young people, they have to add to their repertoire as they won't go really far.
Yeah, I don't sympathize. I don't envy their position, the kids these days, and all of the distractions. Even if they're trying to pursue a career in football and going to college, that decision is different now than it was, I think, for most of us. Our probably two landmark key decisions were, for me, I wanted to win. I want to be part of a team and win and play. Those are the two things. Now it's different. Now you have to go to college. You can have different goals to go to college, Do you want to go find the most money? Then you're making your decision based on NIL. Do you want to go to play? Then you're making your decision on maybe the current roster, and you're thinking, I'll use the portal whenever I need to. Do you want?
At McBrien Group, our goal is simple: create a lasting impact in our community by providing resources and opportunities to our football players, both on the field and off the field. Support our cause by donating today and help us give back.
Want to go to college, use athletics to get you to a university that maybe you wouldn't qualify for academically, and take advantage of that opportunity. You could go about it that way. So I think it's, to your point, I don't know if kids are developing those type of heartfelt, as you could tell myself, reactions to coaches and relationships with coaches. And I feel bad for that aspect of it, because I loved when I was in a position where I would say to myself, I'll run through a brick wall for this guy. My high school coach, I'd run through a brick wall for him. My Pop Warner coach, I would run through a brick wall for him. And it's because of the men they were and the relationships that we established together. And it's just another figure in your life that's sending you down a positive road. So if kids don't take advantage of those types of situations, and they're jumping around and they're going from maybe, after you set him up in a high school and he's not starting year 1 or 2, and he's like, we'll just make a move. Maybe that impacts him down the road. It's the best decision, but I think it could have more of a negative impact, and you just don't get that relationship, because it just means a lot. And it's very important to have people in your life that are looking out for your best interests. And I think that's hard in this day and age, to have everybody that doesn't have a goal for themselves, and they're all about it for the kid, which your foundation clearly is, right? This isn't a gain for any of you, personally, other than the satisfaction of watching a kid go from wherever you find him and then watching his journey and work out for him. So that would be, an emotional gratification that you all get. But they need people in their lives that are making decisions best for them. And adversity is going to hit, as you mentioned, JP. It's going to happen. It's how you handle it. Do you run from it? Do you let it beat you up? Or can you use it as motivation? I'm not saying I'm the model staple for that, because I had a good family situation. I'm in Carroll County. It's a good school system. I don't have all that types of adversity. I got dealt a card in my freshman year where I thought I should have got moved up, and I didn't. That was my adversity. So I'm not saying I, overcame a ton, but it was that one little situation. And if you can relate to that, adversity isn't maybe the obvious things of adversity where you think, maybe you're at a school that's, poor funding, or your family situation's messed up. Like those are like those obvious things. When people say I had to overcome adversity, I would immediately think too, and that's why I think I didn't have that much of adversity. But my little noted piece of my history, that when it hit me, I handled it correctly, and it springboarded me to get to college. So the kids these days need to look at that. What is adversity to yourself internally? What have you faced? And it could be something small where Scott, JB, or myself could look at it and be like, that's not adversity. What, you don't get cinnamon toast crunch in the morning? That's not adversity. But if you use it the right way, I don't care what it is. If it gets you to put your mind to a task in a positive way and try to make yourself better, then use it. I don't care what it is. And kids, you hope that what you guys are doing helps with these kids that are going to benefit from your organization and foundation. And it's just a good thing.
Yeah, you said relationships, Steve. I mean, that hits with me, and maybe because I'm old school, right? But I think relationships, especially when you're looking at schools, looking at coaches, looking at a staff, looking at your position coach, like that was massive to guys like you and to JB and to me, right? Like I wanted to feel comfortable that I was going to be with this guy, this coach every single day. And I wanted to make sure that like I liked him and he liked me, and we were family, right? And honestly, looking back, that's the reason that I left West Virginia, right? Like if I'm getting paid, like maybe it's different, right? But like I went to West Virginia because they wanted me, right? Maryland didn't want me at the time. Okay.
Right.
So West Virginia wants me. Coach Don Nealon was a grandfather figure to me. Dan Simmerall was my quarterback coach. Coach Bill Stewart. Those guys were like family to me, and I knew that they loved me, right? When they leave, a new coaching staff comes in, and now I got to pretend like this new staff is family to me, right? Now, they weren't bad coaches by any means, but I didn't look to them as family, right? Like I came to West Virginia for a reason, and it was for a staff, right? Now I leave because I have a relationship with Coach Loxley. I didn't know Ralph, but I knew that like Loxley recruited me for 3 years, and he was my guy. And I knew that he loved me, that he wanted me, and he wanted me in College Park. So like I take myself out of a okay situation at West Virginia where I had played, I had started, I had got playing time, I had boys all over the place. But like I take myself out of that because I'm with a staff that no longer feel like family to me, and I leave to go follow other family, right? So like times are different. So when you're saying relationships, man, I still think today that like we tell our guys when you go on a college visit and you're getting recruited by a school and a staff, like I don't care what it is, man. You still at the end of the day gotta think that like, hey man, this coach that's recruiting me, he's family to me. I want to be in this guy's meeting room every single day because Steve, if you're in a meeting room and you don't think that that coach is family to you, like there could be a lack of respect or time just don't work out. You're not willing to lay it all out on the line for them. So I still think that like relationships, man, are important no matter how much money you're getting paid, right?
Yeah, agreed.
Those guys every single day. So
and even more so, and I know I'm just maybe pumping you guys up, but even more so to have guys like you looking out for the kids because you might be a layer of vetting the coach to understand if they are genuine, if they're a guy that actually means they care about the kids when they say it, because it ain't like that everywhere in college. And we found that out firsthand. You see guys, and I wanted to be a college coach my whole life growing up. I was like, I'm doing football. Football's my thing. I'm going to, if I don't make it to the league, I'm gonna fall back because I was always pretty cerebral. I was like, I'm gonna fall back and be a college coach. But then when I got to college and we interacted with some of the coaches we interacted with, it gave me a real bad taste in my mouth. And it actually turned me off from wanting to be a college coach because there was a lot of situations that we found where guys weren't genuine and it was a little two-faced conversations and what they were saying to your face wasn't what they were doing. And then you felt like maybe they don't really treat me like family or see me as family. So that it really turned me off. And one of the reasons I didn't pursue it really. So you need people to be able to find those coaches that are genuine, like a Coach Loxley. And that's why he's successful recruiting. Say what you want about the coaching style, say what you want about his record, doesn't matter. He's genuine. And when you talk to him and you interact with him as a young kid, you feel it and it's real. So that's how he keeps getting recruits. And that's why he should keep getting recruits. And that just goes to his character and it validates him for me as a man and a coach.
Yeah.
So you need those levels of guys like you and other coaches that you trust that know the other coach. So, you can still have a layer of trust within it, but it needs to work. And those relationships are crazy. They are, Scott, you mentioned, it just feels better playing with a team where you like the players and you like the coaches. It's just better.
So Steve, last question, and this is a hard question too, because we all have a ton of football memories, right? Starting from our Pop Warner days, which by the way, I've seen your Pop Warner highlight tape. I know what that's all about. Your Pop Warner days all the way up to your professional playing days, right? There's a lot of memories there. There's a lot of bricks that you stacked. There's a lot of great wins, championships. But like, if you can look back on your football career, right? What is a memory or a year or a season or a team that you were a part of that was like, man, all the adversity I went through, the injuries I went through, the hard times, the hardships, like it was all worth it because of this, right? Like when you think of memory, what is that memory for you when you look back on your playing days?
Yeah, that one is tough. And I could probably name several like going through age group, but I'll stick to this one. And I think it encompasses all the Pop Warner ones. So we have our Pop Warner ones. We have high school ones too. Mine was the first touchdown I scored at Maryland. It's a punt return versus Akron. And it really was because it gave me the feeling of like, I belong here. Because I still wasn't sure. Under recruited, undersized, don't have the pedigree of all my teammates. And you want to make your parents and family proud. And there was doubt. So I go through my freshman season. I get hurt a couple of times, but I'm not really making any waves. I wasn't running back in high school. Now I'm a receiver, so I'm trying to learn a new position. And there was doubt. I had doubt. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'm never going to start. Maybe I'm not good enough to play D1 football, ACC, and just keeping my head down and work. And so that first touchdown, I vividly remember that feeling. And I just, I point up to the jumbotron because I know I'm about to score. But when I scored, I was like, I belong here. And it was all of that from freshman year being cut, well, not cut, but not moved up. All of that weight room work, it was like, you can do this. So that had to be the best memory I had.
And actually, that same game, I think that might have been my first touchdown pass at Maryland. Was that?
I think it was, yeah.
Because we to Derek Finn on the 2-yard line, we called a slant for some reason.
Yeah,
2-yard touchdown.
So, yeah,
I remember
that was it, man.
And that was the start of a heck of a career at Maryland. So you should be proud of everything you accomplished. Because looking back, when I look back now, I'm like, damn, what we did was really dang hard. Like,
I know.
What we accomplished was hard, but when you're going through it, you're like, man, this is what everybody does. This is college football attitude. But like looking back, I'm watching these kids. I'm like, dude, what we accomplished was awesome, but it was not easy. Not easy. You need to be proud of everything that you accomplished, man. You had a great career.
Thank you.
I'm proud to call you a good friend of mine, and I was lucky to have squads because you made my job a lot easier running back those punts.
Yeah,
advantage real quick, right?
Yeah, that was good times, man.
I appreciate you hopping on here, Steve. Thanks for
man. Thanks for having me. You guys are doing
Thanks,
great.
Steve.
JB. All right, man.